Good evening, and thank you for joining me this evening for Mindful Money Moment on Mari Moore Life. And my name is Kivette Minor Kane. I am your host as well as your financial liberation expert. I come to you to support your journey on the road to self-sufficiency by teaching you how to manage your money without losing your mind. And essentially, you guys know that means there's two sides of the coins, and we're going to look at both of them, both the mindset as well as our money management. So it's all about understanding how your emotions affect your money management so that you're able to make better decisions, you're able to create better habits, and you're able to experience the true quality of life that you deserve and that you desire in order to fulfill your purpose. So this evening, I am coming to you. First, I want to wish all of you a very happy Mental Health Awareness Month. This month is so significant because, that's half of our mission and our platform and all of the things that we talk about here. And so it's so significant that we're able to, just to celebrate the truth of mental health and what it really means, to be able to identify how we are affected and paying attention to, what we need to do in order to improve for the future. So, just a couple of statistics that have really, stood out in the forefront of my mind as we talk about the Black mental health access gap and mental health in the Black community as well. Now, we've experienced a lot of violence recently, and it's not something that I can ignore. On this platform, of course, I know I'm talking to you ladies, and you are the women of your households. And earlier I was looking up some statistics about, the Black women who have suffered at the hands of police by gunfire or different other means of murder and death. And it was very disturbing to recognize that there have been so many that have gone unrecognized over the years in the different challenging situations that they have exposed. But I want to pay some attention to that, not only to give homage to the lives of those who lost their lives so unnecessarily in the different situations that I read about personally, but also to help us to be aware today that we're still facing those challenges, and there are many mothers who have lost their children, whether they were male or female, and they are hurting over that. And right now, especially during Mental Health Awareness Month, we need to pay attention to how we're grieving and how we're coping and how we're able to get through each and every day, facing the challenges that we carry with us, the trauma that we have experienced for so many decades and even centuries as a people in the Black community. There are other communities who have suffered as well, some more recent, some in history and not so much in the present. But there is no community, there is no race, there is no ethnicity that has suffered as much as Black Americans have from the point of slavery even up until today. And being able to recognize the challenges that have been perpetuated throughout that time. So it's not just, these things happened and yeah, that's what happened to you. So, how do we get over it? It's what is continuing. It's what is happening, in the present, in the progressive, because when we recognize what racism is as a systemic effort, racism is a systemic effort. It goes beyond just simple prejudice, and prejudice in itself is an injustice. But the racism that we experience through the system is something that we really have to acknowledge. We can't say, America's not a racist country, as some have identified even recently in the news, but we have to look our abuser face on, eye to eye, and recognize the truth of the situation in order for us to be able to heal properly and to be able to overcome the challenges that we're currently facing as a result of centuries of abuse. And so tonight, as we look at mental health and are becoming more aware of mental health, the statistics, there's a couple of statistics that stood out to me. Give me just a moment to go back. Let me see here. And yes, okay, so it just as late as a month ago, not even a month ago, the statistics came out with mental health research for the Black community. And it talks about how there's a study that was done by Health and Human Services Office of Minority Health. So that's the Health and Human Services Office of Minority Health. And it identifies that Black Americans are 20% more likely to experience serious mental health. Yet, Black patients are less likely to receive mental health services. So that is something that we have to pay attention to first and foremost, the fact that we are at higher risk for mental health. Now, understanding what mental health is a whole nother show. And I'm actually going to be bringing someone on this Wednesday who will, this Wednesday, who will discuss with us a little more about mental health and looking at how that affects us as a community. In my Wealthy Women conversation, and that will be on my Facebook group. So you'll be able to join me there in that group. I'll send you the information, or I have a link posted below this video so that you can join and take a part in that. But being able to recognize this today helps us to understand, where does that put us in terms of mindset? Is it something that just, if you have a mental health issue, is it something that stays with you forever? Is it something that, you receive a diagnosis and you're just, doomed or done from there? Because there's a lot of stigma that goes along with that. And so in order to help me have that conversation, I'm bringing in a special guest, and she is Miss Jamie R. Wright, and she is a self-love advocate. Ms. Wright is a domestic violence survivor, a powerful speaker, a coach, an activist, an advocate, and an author. She's got 2 upcoming books, and one is Finding Purpose Through Pain, and the other is The Power of Overcoming Shame and Learning to Love Yourself Again. That is a huge thing for us in the Black community, because that is where a lot of our pain stems from. That loving ourselves and valuing ourselves and caring for ourselves. So despite her trauma of abuse, depression, attempted suicide, and becoming a mother of 14 years old, Jamie's ability to excel professionally is nothing short of impressive. Jamie has served nearly 2 decades with the federal government in finance and auditing, spending nearly 2 years in Afghanistan in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. Jamie is disciplined and focused, receiving several certifications and accolades, to include a Joint Civilian Service Commendation, a NATO Medal of Service Award, and an Expeditionary Medal for Global War on Terrorism. How about that? She has not only fought terrorism in the world outside of the United States, but is obviously, with all of those accolades, well equipped to help us to combat the terrorism that we're experiencing within the United States right now. And so with that, I would like to welcome in Miss Jamie Wright. How are you this evening, Jamie?
I am doing beautiful, Miss Kivette. Thank you. Happy Monday, and thank you for having me on your platform. I'm honored and I'm grateful.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here with me. This is quite a privilege to be able to have this conversation with someone who is so experienced and educated, as well as, having the service that you have had, and receive the accolades that you have is so commendable. So congratulations for all of the above.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what we do here is talk about, how our mindset affects our money management. What we understand is that our mindset, if we're not in a good mindset, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and financially, then there's no way that we can actually manage our money to the best of our ability when we talk about our credit, our cash flow, our savings, our insurance, as well as our investments. So there's a lot that goes into play when we're managing our money, and you know that as a finance person. And so being able to recognize the issues that lie there within our community, first and foremost, the Black community, but then understanding that there is an even greater challenge for us as women in dealing with our finances and being conscious of our finances. So just let me share a couple of statistics with you where that's concerned, and where I find my motivation for that as well. Was it Worthy did a study not long ago, and they found that take a deep breath. About 15% of women are actually thinking about what they're going to do for their retirement. And that's between the ages of 20 and 55. 15% are just thinking about it. And that's not even those who have taken a step to actually put a plan in place. So the first thing that goes off for me is, well, what about the other 85%? First of all, those 15% don't have a plan in place, but the other 85% are not even thinking about what they're going to do, providing for themselves financially when they're no longer able to work. That to me is a scary thought. It's where are we and what do we need to do in order to get ourselves to a place where we're motivated to care for ourselves in that way. Because even in the conversations that I have with clients and prospective clients, I hear a lot of excuses. I hear a lot of women say, my husband handles that. And I think it is absolutely fabulous and awesome that you have a partner who you trust to share, that responsibility. But at the same time, when something happens to your partner, whether it is a separation by, difficulties in the relationship, or it could just simply be that you lose them in death, or, they could become injured and not be able to work. If they were the one who took care of everything, then where will you go from that point? We can all do it. And what a lot of people say is, oh, well, when that happens, I'll figure it out. But why would you wait until a disaster happens to now have a double tragedy? Because you've not only got the situation that has occurred, but now you've got a double weight with the figuring out the finances from that point. So what are the first steps that you recommend for women to really become conscious of what they need to do in order to care for themselves in that way?
Yeah, and that's why you're like platforms like yours is so powerful, so needed, and why I'm so honored to be on it. Because the first thing is awareness, and it's in my mind, recognizing and becoming aware that, oh, I need to have control over my finances. And then, like you said, bringing people on that, can give tips to, okay, well, now that I'm aware, what do I do with that? That's why I honor you and your platform so much. And that's why I was like, oh no, let's collaborate. The first time I heard you speak, I would definitely say recognize in awareness. For me, being 14 years old, dropping out of junior high school when I was in the 6th grade, fast forward, found myself essentially homeless in a women's shelter in the face of COVID. One thing I do know for a fact now, Kavette, the difference, one of the reasons why I was able to transition out of the shelter so quickly is because I had financial security. I had a steady stream of income coming in. Not that I was any smarter than any of the ladies, nothing like I held space, honored sacred space with some of the most amazing women in that shelter that I'll ever have the honor of meeting in my life. The only difference is that they didn't have the financial security. So I would say awareness, getting clear in what it is that you want your financial security to look like, because everybody's situation is different. And then figuring out the steps that you need to take to obtain that financial security, whether it's start a business, whether it's start a podcast, write a book, go to vocational school. Because I started out in vocational school. By God's grace, I have a master's in certifications. But I started out in the 90s in that good old keyboarding class at the Votech.
Build our skills. We have to build our skills so that we have something to pull from when we really don't feel like we have anything to pull from. You know, and I feel you on that, because I created this platform because I want to be able to give that motivation to women who feel like they don't have enough. You know, like they're not good enough to do what they see so many other women doing. And I want them to know you absolutely are. You know, you are more than good enough, and you have everything that you need in order to succeed. It just takes building your confidence. You know, it just takes being able to help you to see it, you know, because we can see it looking at you, you know, but it's hard for us to look at ourselves in the mirror and see the same thing that other people will see in us.
That's
you know.
You touched on this, Kavette, especially in the African-American community. I've never been anything but Black, so I can't opine, and I can't, you know, and I try to stay in my lane. I don't speak on other situations or races, not to minimize anybody, because everybody, I have agape love for everybody.
Absolutely.
I also know that as a community, we are not only facing, well, like you said, the effects of just who we are as a people right now, but we're operating with compounded trauma, compounded oppression, compounded, even for our men, right? Like Michelle Obama's book, Becoming, she talks about how it's been a couple of years ago that I read it was either her grandfather or uncle. So like her mom had to set her down and explain to her why her grandfather, I think it was so mean. And her mom explained the fact that you're talking about a man that could not provide for his family the way that he felt like he could or should have because of the color of his skin.
And it wasn't he wasn't talented or educated.
Right? So when we're talking about financial management and mindset, we have to recognize, like you said, we have to address the abuser. We just have to have that conversation from okay, we are still healing, and what does that look like, and what can we do to overcome that as a community as it relates to financial health? Because I'm speaking from experience for this. About this, I live as a minimalist now, right? I have a minimum amount of clothes. So you might see me, y'all, if y'all follow me on my social media, you might see me wearing the same outfit and the same jewelry, right? Because what I recognize,
it's what we do.
It's what we do, right? For me, what I recognize is that I used to have all the clothes and the shoes and the 4,000 square foot house and the blah, blah, blah. But for me, all it was doing was filling a void that truly could never be filled. And my reality and my truth is I had all these depreciable things in my house. And if I was, God forbid, to have to help a family member bury someone, or even, you know, to my 27-year-old daughter, she's no longer on my insurance, right? Because even though she's she's still in college, she's in dental school. I'm so proud of her. Even though she's still a student, she aged off my insurance, right? So God forbid something happened to my own child a couple of years ago. I didn't have the financial means, but I had 75 pairs of shoes.
Right.
You know, and so what I've learned is to give myself grace in that and love. And what I also learned for me, I would rather have the financial security, the easy living of life. I live in a phenomenal little 700 square foot studio apartment right now. My girls are grown. So I'm like, why I need all that space to vacuum, more electricity, more dusting. You know, so yeah, going back to when the recognizing I have for me to recognize, like, oh, you're filling a void, Jamie, and oh, you're buying all these clothes because you didn't have clothes as a little girl and you was made fun of, and you went to school with mismatched socks. And after I started my healing journey with that, I started that about 6 years ago. It's become easy for me to, like, I don't care if I wear the same clothes as long as they're clean.
You let go of stuff because it's no longer, you have no need for it to fill a space that you've already healed.
Thank you.
When you become whole. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I feel that.
Yeah. Yeah. So recognizing what's the steps that you need, what's wealth and what's financial security look like for you, and then aligning getting clear in the steps. Those three things, those three powerful things.
Could you say that for us one more time, please?
Yeah, recognizing that you want financial security, whatever that financial security looks like, becoming clear in what it is that you need to do to obtain that financial security. In action, do just that. And that's how I live my life on every aspect of it. I want peace and healing, right? My healing journey is still, so everything I do is intentional. And if it doesn't bring me peace, guess what? I don't do it. And if it brings me peace, I do it.
Yes. Yes. You know, that is the clearest indication of healing. Just in your title as a self-love advocate, it's really getting to recognize your self-worth, your personal value, you know, building up your self-esteem, your self-confidence, you know, and ultimately the love that you have for yourself in self-love. There's a mantra that I created for myself, and I share, you know, with my audience and with my clients. It is self-care, self-love, self-worth, self-first. To remind myself, you know, when I'm doing too much, because oftentimes if we're not filling our space with stuff, we will fill our time with activity, so that we are distracted from the pain, so that we don't actually have to do the work, you know, and focusing on ourselves, you know. And so I encourage as well for our audience to take some time to just sit and meditate. So what does it look like when you recommend for someone? What does it look like for in those first stages of them, you know, facing their abuser? So you've talked about being able to minimize in your lifestyle, but before you get to that point, there has to be a mindset shift. You know, so how do they first make that step? And I see it kind of as you said, awareness, becoming aware of the situation. How do they? How would you encourage them to think about, you know, facing their abuser and being able to make that awareness?
The first thing is removing the stigma of mental health in therapy and counseling, right? Especially us as a people. I would coexist because we can't rip the pages of the trauma out of our lives, right? I coexist not only with the pain and the trauma that I have as an adult African-American woman. I'm carrying 400 years of trauma. And then I have the audacity to think that I'm going to be able to have the tools to relieve that myself, when they're God-given, talented, licensed, purpose-driven people that have gone to school or even just lived the life, right? And got out on the other side and says, hey, this is what you can do. So the first thing, especially if your viewers are like me, I mean, childhood trauma, molestation, 14 years old and pregnant, was groomed, really conditioned, I won't say groomed, was conditioned to be in a domestic violence relationship and marriage as an adult, because for me, that's what I've seen. That's what healthy love looked like. So if you find yourself coexisting with all that compounded trauma, therapy, my therapist, Kavette, man, I'll forever be grateful for that woman. She is amazing. She offered me the self-care. She says, for the first time in your life, especially as a woman, Jamie, you have to be selfish. It's okay to be selfish when it comes to your self-care. She's like, and the prime example, I know you heard this, is like when we fly on the airplane, what does the stewardess tell us? Put the mask on who first?
On yourself first, absolutely.
And then the others around us, right? And
okay, so let me bring that point to the audience. That's a running theme, y'all. Put your mask on first. It's I think we've all heard that scenario, but it's really taking an opportunity to sit and meditate on what does that mean for me. What does that mean for me? What does putting the mask on first look like for me? Because when I sat and kind of dissected that scenario, okay, so what happens on the plane? The air pressure in the plane, changes, and all of a sudden these masks drop from the ceiling. And, so what do you do first? It's, you either panic and freeze, or you think about the warning that you just received, and you go into kind of autopilot mode. Us as women, with majority a motherly instinct, we want to take care of other people. But if we hear that notion first, put your mask on first, and then you can help others, then we're like, oh, wait a minute, let me put my mask on first. Let me actually do that. And so that's what this platform is about, being able to give the advice that they need to hear, so that when they're in that traumatic situation, when they're in that challenging moment, and they get, distracted or, overwhelmed, those thoughts are the ones that will come, so that they're able to act in harmony with what's going to be in their best interest. Putting that mask on first, taking those steps, and then say it again. Yeah.
Let's take it a step further. And for mental health awareness and for therapy, oftentimes there is resources that are free, that are highly confidential, and they are available 24/7. It's literally Googling. We can Google mental health therapy, mental health group near me, 24-hour, hotline, and get the services. So that mask might be talking to someone that is unbiased, that has the tools to say, no, you're okay. And it's okay not to be okay. Because oftentimes all we want and all we need is someone just to hear us. We don't necessarily need the advice in that moment. We just want to know that we are heard, that we are valued, that because I'm not okay, I'm still okay, So sorry to interrupt you, but there's resources available for y'all, for us. We don't have to suffer in silence. We don't.
Absolutely. And when we think about what are the resources available, and you hit the nail on the head, it's just as simple as looking up, something like free Black mental health services. I know that there are a number of organizations that are providing reduced or free services to the Black community this month, especially. And in Women's Health magazine, there's an article where they, start off highlighting the trauma that we have experienced, in seeing these race killings over and over and over again. From Dante Wright to Breonna Taylor to Ahmaud Arbery to Corinne Gaines to, George Floyd. I mean, there's so many men and women who have lost their lives unnecessarily, and it is overwhelming. I read one article earlier, and they said that, we would try to not allow the trauma to overtake us, but that is simply the result of the impact of the actions that we are continuously being exposed to. It's when you are continuously exposed to trauma, you become desensitized, or you become numb to the reality of it. And I know you spoke about that, just in your lifetime as a child growing up, you see these abusive situations and you think it's normal. It's not healthy, but it's normal, and it's what you become comfortable with. It's almost what you gravitate toward. It is what you gravitate toward. And so what we have to do is to become aware of those unhealthy tendencies within ourselves. If we keep trying to pretend that everything is okay and I'm just fine and I don't need no help, then we're just going to end up being overwhelmed and consumed by the situations and circumstances we continually create for ourselves because of our bad habits. It's acknowledging them and then finding a way to relieve them, to cope, first, and then to make the necessary adjustment. So there are a couple of techniques that I offer. The first one is obviously going to be breathing, because meditation is, and mindfulness, comes from being conscious, so every show we take a moment and we just breathe. So breathe with me.
Okay.
We breathe in peace and we breathe out the anxiety. We just release it and we let it go. We breathe in peace and we breathe out the anxiety and just let it go. And being able to take a moment like that for each one of us is so key, because it helps to recenter us and to refocus our thoughts so that now we're able to put that mask on ourselves first.
Love it.
Absolutely. Thank you. So what is it that drove you or that motivated you to write the 2 books that you are working on now? Are they completed yet, or you're still in the writing process?
I am definitely still in the writing process.
Okay, awesome.
Yes, so upcoming author, you all, upcoming author.
We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, what motivated me, Kaveh? I have a beautiful cousin that spoke this book into me like 30 years ago. I'm like, a book? Like, what? No, and life is just beginning to continue happening, right? As it does for all of us. And what I notice is that some people think that, like you said, that we don't recognize that all that we have inside of us that we need is all that we need is already inside of us, right? And it's just a matter of tapping into that. And so 2 things, if I can offer that in a written form, to like as a method to shine the light that God has given me out to the world, and then leave my legacy behind for my grandchildren, my great grandchildren, it's like, Jamie, get the writing. So that's what the how to, because I'm like, I'm no different, Kaveh. I'm no special than anybody else. I am a small town country girl from Northeast Oklahoma. The only thing that's different in my life is that I refuse to let life just take me up under, right? As a believer, I'm like, I cannot accept my life not being consistent with what my creator designed it to be. I will not allow my grandmother's prayers, her hard work to be in vain. My grandmother was not a domestic worker and cleaning other people's houses and walking to work for me to play life small. So get it together, Jamie. And what other form is to speak and write. And so that's what motivated me to write my books. And it's lethargic and it's hard, because what I recognize with writing, as I'm writing The Power of Overcoming Shame and Learning to Love Myself Again, I had to crack myself open, sis. And what I mean by that is going into my childhood, things that I had suppressed, I didn't even recognize, things I had suppressed for years. And by God's grace, my sister, my only sibling, my oldest sister, she's, still alive, and we talk, and she's crazy, and I am too, and I just love her to death. So I have her to help me get back into myself when I get triggered and get all discombobulated, to help me with that. But it's they're coming. Stay tuned, y'all. Yeah.
Awesome. And that is very real. Now I'd like to just take a moment, Jamie, to let our audience know about a few things that are coming from our sponsor, More Life Financial. I actually have workshops every month, both on the mindset reset side as well as the money management side, where these women are able to register for the workshop, come and attend, learn about how money works, learn to understand the banking system, the benefits as well as the pitfalls, learn how to plan for your future to get out of debt, and how you can make a way to retire tax-free. And understanding that brings you to a whole nother level. It's really, truly liberating, for us to know that we will have money for our future. Then we can live even better in our present. And so that's the goal, is to help encourage them, to give them the guidance that they need in order to pull out the stuff that they already have inside and be able to say, you know what, now this is how you can use that gift. This is how you use that talent. This is how you use those skills, so that you're able to now benefit not only yourself, but instead of leaving a legacy of debt, then we would leave a legacy of wealth for our families, because that is what we need to do. And that's where we need to focus in at this point in time. So in order to get more information about those workshops, it is our Good Retire workshop, as well as the Time to Thrive program. And you can go to marimorelife.com and register there. You can also sign up to have a clarity connection with myself. And that is a 15-minute connection where we'll be able to sit down. And usually I take more than 15 minutes, but y'all don't tell nobody. And we just talk about, what are the greatest challenges that you're facing in your finances, and what are the greatest strengths, or the greatest times that you've had where you feel like you were financially on top of things, and being able to understand what is it in our mindset that brings us into that balance, between the challenge and our strength, and being able to move forward, putting together a plan of action with real tools that we can use to support us in that process. So again, you guys can go to www.marimorelife.com and get more information about that. Feel free to read through our blog and get more information about what's going on. There's a fun game challenge that I've got listed in one of our blog articles. So feel free, if you have more questions, to DM me on Instagram at marimorelife. And I would love to hear from you about that. And so, Jamie, we're going to kind of switch into our money management mode at this point.
You'll get in your zone. You'll get in your zone. I love it.
It looks like we got our other guest, Miss Lydia, is going to be joining us in just a few moments. When she pops up, then I'll bring her in. But we're going to talk about, how this shifted for you. Now, I'm had a very similar experience to yourself, in that I was kind of shifted out of my abusive relationship in order to kind of have a veil lifted, in order to recognize, first of all, that there was abuse, because that's the first thing that we have to become aware of. And then to recognize that I had an opportunity, because I had a financial opportunity that would provide me or afford me to get out of that abusive situation. And that, I know, is not an opportunity for every woman. So looking at your financial knowledge and, where you have been in your own experience, because let me tell you, experience, I love people who have read books, but if you lived it, there is a whole nother level of competence that goes behind that confidence, because it's not just something you read about, but it's something that you actually did, and you having done the work. What did that look like for you in being able to identify, growing from childhood, putting yourself in a position where you would now have some financial stability that even in your adulthood provided the opportunity for you to get out of that normal abusive relationship that you had found yourself in? So what was that when you were a kid that you initially, were motivated to do that?
Doing the work of it, what I realized and what I recognized here as of late, I've been running from poverty. I just did not want to struggle. And I think that was my motivating force of, picking myself back up and going to school and just kind of just continuing to pick myself up every time life happens. Is now that I recognize that I have autonomy over what my life looks like, it's like, Jamie, come on now. And it goes back to, like, my creator tells me that I should have abundance of joy and happiness and wealth, whatever that looks like, right? And prosperity, whatever that looks like. So if my creator says that and it's not happening, then it's up to me. And it goes back to what we were saying, all that I needed is within me. So, I mean, that's the only way that I can articulate it, is like, for a long time, I was running away from poverty, living into the childhood trauma. And when I became aware, it was just like, oh, Jamie, do it a different way. And now I live my life from a space, Quebec, that I'm an advocate and I'm an activist. And I'm like, listen, y'all. If I can do it, you can too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's my whole let's push. Let's
Yep.
push to overcome the pain. Let's push to over. Life is going to happen. I know it for certain. But I also know once we make the decision, that's my pastor told me that and changed the trajectory of my life. We
Mm-hmm.
just have to make the decision. And this is what I know without a shadow of a doubt. Once we make that decision and we start to lean into it and take the steps consistent, OMG, financial wealth, education, healing, travel, all that you vision for your life, and if it aligns with your creator and your higher power's purpose, me being on your platform today is a testament of that, Kavette. Just a year ago,
Absolutely.
I was homeless.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I've just brought into the show with us Miss Lydia Effiong, and she is with us from Nigeria. Lydia, can you hear me? Let's see.
Oh boy.
Hey, Lydia. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm
Thank
doing so
you.
well. I'm
Okay.
so sorry I had to come in late.
That's okay. No, we're glad to have you here joining us in the show. I'm talking with Jamie R. Wright right now, and I actually want to introduce you to our audience. So let me just read your a few points from your bio, if you don't mind. Um, Lydia Effiong is a certified digital community manager, a product manager, and marketing strategist from top tier brands like Facebook and Live Your Dreams Africa. She is also the founder of the Next Steps Accelerator Program, a social enterprise created to train African youth in skills needed for the future of work and connect them with paying internship opportunities with brands across the globe. Alongside her various marketing and media certifications, she graduated from the University of Benin and Village Francais de Nigeria with a French degree and resides in Lagos, Nigeria. So thank you so much for joining us here today, Lydia. And you come with obviously a wealth of knowledge on both the mindset side the as well as the monetary side, working with your students over in Nigeria. And so, can you tell us just a little bit about what did that look like for you in becoming an ambassador, or working with those different marketing organizations? What has that been for you?
Okay, so first of all, thank you so much, Kevin. Can you hear me? I'd love it
I
if
can. We
you
can hear
can
you.
hear me. Okay, perfect, perfect. Before I dive into answering the question, I just want to say how honored I feel to be here. Thank you so much, Kevin. I feel like you're an amazing person. I mean,
Okay.
like, you're an amazing person.
That's
No
sweet.
jokes about that. So
Thank
I
you.
I also want to give
Yep, you're breaking up a little bit,
a
Lydia.
be very shout out to Jamie
I think
here because
oh, you're breaking
I
up.
made
Beautiful.
rest, and I'm like, this is an amazing platform to speak. I mean, these are amazing ways.
Thank you
What does
so
it look
much. We
like?
appreciate
Everyone
that.
is connected. Okay, okay. All right, so I'll just dive into the question. Yes, you read
Mhm,
my bio, and I would like to point out that there's so many other things that aren't on there, right? Because I'm literally trying to find my footing there. But I would say
mhm,
something. You get to meet so many people. You get to encounter so many problems, right? And then you think to yourself, is this all? Is this all there is to life? I mean, like,
mm,
can there be more? Sometimes I feel like there are so many limitations that we create for ourselves, not our environment, not the people that we speak to, not the kind of food that we eat. It's us creating that kind of environment of of disbelief, of lack, of the fact that, oh my god, I'm not sure I will ever have enough money to do the things that I want to do, or handle the projects that I want to handle. And I'll tell you something for free. I remember when I was about to kick off the Next Steps Accelerator program. To be honest, people kept calling me and they're like, oh my God, Lydia, this is so amazing. This is so amazing. And I'm like, okay, it's amazing. What next? What next, right? And then people started calling me and saying, because I mean, you already know I have like a lot of experience with marketing, every form of marketing that you know about, traditional, online, network marketing, every single thing, right? I've walked those
Mm-hmm.
parts. And normally anything that I would do, I would start with the marketing first. So the marketing was pretty big, right? It was pretty big, and people thought that I had like a foundation abroad or the UN sponsoring it. And to be honest, I had no one. No one. I just had the promise of sponsorship, but it was just me. I'm a savings account and my hope and belief in God, and literally that was all I had, right? But I came out of that experience with something, knowing that thank God that I saved some money. Thank God that I had the money that I had, because it would have been a very tight situation for me. And I'm super glad that I now know that instead of saving the money, I could now, with the information that I now have, right, I could probably have been able to double it with investments in, I mean, stocks, different portfolios, and digital currencies, right? I could have done that. But I mean, I was literally fresh out of a lot of organizations. So I just wanted to get things
Mm-hmm.
working for me. And I felt like saving was the only thing. And if there's anyone who is in their, I mean, because I'm not yet 25 yet, so I'll be very honest, right? And I know that a lot of people who go through this, right? Young ladies, they're like, what am I supposed to do with my money? I mean, there's so many things to do. There's skincare, the spa treatments, the vacations. How am I supposed to keep all my money, right? This is the
Mm-hmm.
clarion call. The word is very specific. It is a clarion call to you to, I mean, take note of your environment. Take note of the things that you are telling yourself. Your
Mm-hmm.
limitation is you. If you move past
Mm-hmm.
your limitation, which is you will begin to see the opportunities that abound around you, right? And also, being in a state of gratitude, so you know that, oh, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm gonna have this amount in my portfolio really soon, and I'm so happy and grateful now that I have seen the opportunities that take me to where I need to be, and to make the kind of
Yeah.
decisions that I need to make for my generation, right? Not just yourself, because
Mm-hmm.
you have to think outside yourself. It's for other people. So I'm hoping that I'm not spiraling out of context and not saying what we need to say, but I hope that what we may say so far has hit the nail on the head, and a young lady has been able to say, oh my God, I can relate. So thank you so
Uh-huh.
much. Waiting on for the next question.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much. That was so on point because we were just talking about, how important it is for us to have our mindsets, reset, so that we are able to take ownership of some of the challenges and being able to make the decisions that we need to make in order to get out of those challenging situations. One of the things that I've personally recognized is that in our challenges is where we find our strength, you know? And so
Exactly.
being able to find our strength helps us to rise up out of that. But it takes us a lot, and we're not always able to do it alone. And so that's the reason for this platform. And I thank you so much, Lydia, for coming to share with us your perspective, especially from where you are at this point in your life. Being able to recognize and take ownership of the decisions that you're currently making, and then to be conscious of how you're working your coins. That's absolutely essential, because it is without the money, we're really not able to do anything to establish ourselves or to make the progress that we desire. And I know in the Black community, there's a lot of stigma, even as we talk about mental health, there's a lot of stigma around money too. because oftentimes we'll get money, in the Black community as Black people, we will get money. And before we know it, it's gone because we have mismanaged it. Or because, like you said, Lydia, we don't always put it in a place where it can work for us. And so that's one of the things that I do as well with my clients as a life insurance agent. I help them to understand how they can use a life insurance policy to grow their money so that they're able to put money to the side and to be able to, to have tax-free benefits, not just a death benefit, but a living benefit. And being able to recognize that there are many, let me tell you, there are so many people who use their life insurance policies to get them through COVID-19 when they lost their jobs because they had a cash value policy and it grew over the years, and they had that as a resource, and that's what we need to be conscious of, is creating resources for ourselves. And so, Lydia, sounds like a place where you are right now, looking for those resources and opportunities to be able to grow your money while you have saved it. And I was just telling our audience about a savings game. And I think you heard about my savings game, the dollar a day challenge that I spoke about before. Lydia? She there? Okay.
She might be muted.
Yeah, she might be having some technical difficulties. Yeah, but we talked about that before. I actually met Lydia as well as Jamie on Clubhouse. Clubhouse has been a fabulous, amazing place to make some super connections with some amazing women. And you ladies are just absolutely phenomenal in all that you have overcome and even where you are at this point in time. So please continue for us. Jamie, I'd like to hear more about like where you were able to get to in your financial journey, coming from that place when you're talking about being 14 and leaving home and so forth.
Yeah. So, and Lydia, oh my goodness. Yay. I don't even know what generation the 24 years is that?
Gen Z. Gen Z.
Gen Z. Hashtag Gen Z. Millennials.
That's right. Big up.
Yeah, the future of these young people, boy, I'm just like, if I was 24 years old and knew that, so kudos.
Girl, yeah.
For me, education. Education was and is everything. And now that I have my education, and my master's and all of that, and I've had the ability to start this self-help journey the last maybe 8 years. Now my mindset has shifted from education to entrepreneurship. So initially it was the VOTEC. It was being, learning a skill so that when I graduated high school, my first real job was at a bank. And from that is where I took every 0 level class there was, Kavette.
I know that's right.
Writing, math, but I just refused to give up, right? I was like, I cannot live into the statistics of teenage pregnancy. I just cannot. At the point that I was like 16, I got emancipated and I was able to sign a lease. So my oldest daughter and I, we moved to the projects, and somebody broke into my apartment in the projects. And I remember at one point in my life, Kavette, I was aspiring to move from the projects into these Section 8 apartments. It was safer. It was on the better side of town. And but it's just reflecting back. I realized like I had no autonomy as a little girl, but I had autonomy, meaning what Miss Lydia said, the limiting beliefs. I didn't have that language, especially at 24. I didn't have that language, but I do now. It's like, those limiting beliefs. I was the only person in my way. So once I was like, okay, I can do that. Then for me, it was always in education. And I was on a seminar not too long ago, and they were talking about, in Bishop Jake's International Leadership Conference. Shout out to Debbie for sewing the tickets into my life to go this weekend. They were talking about the importance of blue collar, like the trade. Like everybody is not going to go to college, or no, maybe I don't even. But everybody is not going to go, and it's okay, right? Like I know some people that make double the money I do and have no student loans.
How about that? That's a fabulous place to be. Debt free.
Debt free, right? So the importance of bringing back HVAC and plumbing any trade, becoming a hairstylist. My hairstylist here in Houston, shout out Erica. She's like, stop calling me a hairdresser. I'm like, I'm from my home country. So those,
Right.
those type of practical skills, because what I remember my grandfather saying to us as little kids is education. A man can't take that away.
Right.
But in land by land, I mean, because men can't make more land. So for me, long story short, sorry to go around the education, and now I know what I know is entrepreneurship, like creating. As long as we as a community we're meeting a need.
Mm-hmm.
The money, the resources, all of that will follow.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And so that's why it's so important for us to actually, when we talk about entrepreneurship, we've heard through the years, many people have said, have multiple streams of income. What I pride myself on here is not just talking about what to do, but talking about how to do it. So being able to outline, okay, so you want to become an entrepreneur, you've got to make sure that you have an income to provide for yourself while you're building your business. Because oftentimes people think, oh, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to have an income. And it doesn't happen right away. It doesn't. It takes 5 years. Okay, 5 years for us to grow a business, to be stable. And that's what the IRS, what the government gives any startup business, is the first 5 years. They give them grace in order to find some stability, to build a structure, and so then you become more heavily responsible for some different things, that you've got to take care of on that level. But it's the first thing is to become profitable. And if we are constantly taking the money, the profits from our business, it is the same thing we do when we take the profits from our lives. And the encouragement is to whether you are an employee or you are a solopreneur or a business owner, everyone can be entrepreneurial. It is about taking ownership of our lives and our responsibilities, not looking for someone else to rescue us, recognizing what's the truth. The truth is no one's coming. No one's coming. Right. I'm the one that I've been looking for to rescue me. When we look in the mirror, you say, hey, rescuer, thank you, and then figure it out. But you don't have to figure it out alone. We each have our own path, but there are those who have traveled their own paths who can give you some guidance, who can tell you how to, chop down those, weeds, or how to navigate through the trees. And, when you get to the river, how do you get across, that kind of thing. And it's absolutely necessary. So, when I talk about educating, guiding, and supporting, is truly in being able to help people and to assist them in getting to accomplish their goals and dreams, but recognizing that there is not just one way to do it. They still have to find their own path, but they can use the instructions that we've gained or the lessons that we've learned to navigate that path for themselves. And so that's what you really shared with us is going to get that education is a navigation tool, on your journey.
And I also I have coaches and mentors. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things that struck me so much the night that I heard you in Clubhouse. It's like, that it's just really, I won't say something, but it's really as black and white as, if you want to be rich, do what the rich people are doing, right? If you want to be happy, do what the happy people are doing, but that takes investing in yourself. And so shout out to your financial planning. I see you as just a soul sister, right? I'm like, oh,
thank you.
You have so many survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault, because that we were talking about that before we came on the show. Financial abuse is very much one of the pillars of domestic violence, right? And absolutely. So what I want anybody's watching to know, reach out to you, you coach people through what it looks like to grow your money, what it looks like to take your stimulus check and put it towards things that will appreciate, meaning that will grow your money, like you and Miss Lydia was talking about. It is okay, I guess, to treat yourself, but let's consider spending $1,000 on a savings bond as opposed to a purse per se, if that's not how you, not judging anybody, right? But for me, it's like, I'm trying to put my kids through college, not Ralph's. Ralph got them out.
Right.
Can I hold a bag? Can I hold a bag, Louis? You know, but what I realize is that some people just don't know, and that's why, I mean, again, I honor your platform, because I didn't know what a coach, a life coach, a financial coach, a self-help coach was. Anybody that follows me on Facebook, please know, like, you have sisters, coaches, financial coaches, self-help coaches, self-love coaches like Miss Kivette that will take you from a place of non-judgment. You've done the work. You've read the book, but you've also done the work and lived the life. Hire a coach, y'all. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Absolutely. Because it's about recognizing that you're not alone on the journey. And I know a lot of times what will hold people back, especially if they're coming from a financial abusive situation, they may not have the finances. My recommendation to them is where there's a will, there's a way. You know, just like you had the determination when you went to go get that, you know, the apartment in the projects, and you finally had gained your emancipation, and then you had the goal of being able to move into the Section 8, and then being able to move out of that even further. It is setting incremental goals for ourselves, you know, but understanding that along the way, we have to be willing to do the work. You know, it's going to always cost us something, because free stuff ain't free. It always costs somebody something, whether it's time or money, you know, and if you don't have the money, it's going to cost you your time and your effort, you know, and so that's what we have to be willing to put forward when we're in those kinds of situations and circumstances. And I know for myself, that has been one of the main things that has allowed me to overcome, you know, and I can see that in you as well. You know, that determination, just like you said, making a decision, you know, to move forward has been absolutely essential for you.
And can I add to that? It's like two things. The first thing, that anybody that's pulled through, even if you're going through it right now, right, the financial abuse, the physical abuse, know that it takes a strong person to get up and face life in the face of life every day and show up in the world with a smile on your face.
Absolutely.
Heart and go home and be living in pure and
some challenges now, and we know what that looks like, you know, because I was told by one of my spiritual moms during the process, you know, when I was still in my marriage, she said to me, she says, you're an enabler. And I was highly offended, first of all. But I was offended because it was true. That's why I was offended. Okay. And then second, after I got over myself, you know, and decided to recognize that what she was telling me the truth, it was recognizing that I had to take responsibility because I was making the situation look too good.
That's it.
I made it look like everything was okay. And, you know, and he was doing a great job, and, you know, we were all fine and cared for, and we weren't.
Living that good life.
Because of that thinking that we have even in our community of what happens at home stays at home.
That's it.
We have to let go of that. We have to let go of that, and we have to start talking. We have to have a circle of friends who we can talk to, even if it's just one person in your circle. 2 people makes a circle. So if it's just one person that you have a reference, then being able to go to them and to be open and honest.
That's it. That authenticity. I was just sharing that with a friend. I would rather be slapped with the truth than kissed with a lie.
Yes.
Because time is near, right? And I don't know, it doesn't matter what belief system you have. If you feel like you're going to be reincarnated, going to heaven, going to hell, going to whoever, time is near. And how we choose to spend this time is up to us. And I don't know about you, I'm a believer. So I feel like I'm sliding into heaven. I am not moping in, sad, oppressed, depressed. When I get to the other side of this thing called life, that this one life that we have to live. And I just cannot see me living that life oppressed when I know better, right? Like I know better now. Now, when I didn't know better, okay, again, that's why it's important to align yourself with beautiful people like you. Tune into platforms, like pour into yourself, the self growth part, because we are at the certain choice. And now, Steve Harvey said that on Bishop Jake's. Somebody said it's like now's the time to be black.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because we're on the come up. Absolutely. That's it. We're coming up out of there is no lower place. And so there is no other option but for us to go up and for us to rise and for us to be seen equitably. Not equally, because we're already equal. We were created equal, but to be seen equitably. And that's a whole different perspective. So thank you so much for coming to share with me today, Jamie. Lydia has come back. I'm just going to say thank you so much as well, Lydia, for being here. I know that you had some efforts with the technology and the timing, but we are so glad that you were here with us, even for this short time, and I will have you back again. I am also going to be hosting Wednesday evenings with a private group that I have of wealthy women. They're the Mari Moore Life Wealthy Women. And so I've been putting together this group for a short period of time, but just feel free that if you'd like to join this group, you can DM me and I will send you off the directions and instructions for how to join. And we will be having more conversations that will go, in depth about the different topics. We'll be talking about health as wealth and, money talks, BS walks, love and money, as well as our net worth network. Being able to grow together. But this is a more intimate conversation that we're going to have. It's not going to be open to the public, so we can actually have conversations. And I look forward to having you there, Jamie. If you're available, we'll talk about it and make the arrangements, as well as for yourself, Lydia. Thank you so much for being here. Would you like to say something in closing to our audience?
Absolutely. Thank you again, Kavette. I look forward to serving alongside you, sis. I'm grateful. I'm honored. I can't wait to see what our creator has in store in terms of this shift in the mindset around the money. Anybody that's watching, reach out to Kavette. She's a beautiful woman, inside and out. Powerful when she gets in her for real money, because we was pivoting tonight. When she gets into her real money mindset mode, it's like she goes into this arena that's like, reach out to Kavette if you're watching. You happen to be going through a domestic violence situation or even an abuser causing abuse. You all, let's choose to heal on purpose. Let's bring the conversation to the table, not to condemn, not to make anyone wrong, but in an effort to heal and to understand the why and to really eradicate it. Reach out to a trained advocate. If you're in the Houston area, the Houston Area Women's Center is great. 713-528-2121. There's a national domestic violence hotline. You are not alone. Like I said, I don't care if you're the victim, if you're the person causing it. Let's get up under the root cause and let's stop the violence, especially in the African American community. Thank you again, Ms. Kavette.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Thank you for bringing those resources as well. Lydia, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes. I was able to come back. So, Eric,
Awesome.
I can.
All right. Thank you. Just a few closing remarks to our audience, please.
Oh, sure. I definitely have something planned. First, I would like everyone to do something very important. I'd like you to actually do two things, not one. First things first, I want you to take a look at this woman wearing pink. Right? This woman wearing pink with 11 background, right? Now, I want everyone to think about the last time you had a no BS talk about your money. How comfortable were you with it? How I want you to think about the fact that almost no one is talking about how you use your money, but there are ads 5 seconds away. Oh my God, that's wrong. 1 second away telling you how to spend it, right? So there are ads telling you how to spend the money that you're yet to even get, right? And not a lot of people are speaking about this. Not a lot of people. And then there's this woman here who has taken it upon herself and she's decided that we are going to be having honest conversations. I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what you believe in. I just want to know that we have um, similar values and beliefs about money, and I want us to talk about what money really is and how to make it work for us. So I wanted to go to her DM on Instagram and say thank you. If you could do that through Facebook, email her, just say thank you to Kevin, because this is a mind blowing thing that she's doing on here. And if this is all that I get to do, I mean, like, I feel like I've actually fulfilled the purpose for which I was here. So thank you so much, Kevin. This is me saying it directly. Thank you so much. You're a light. You're so much light here. And the second thing
Thank
would
you.
be I would like us to do a quick exercise. Just close your
Mhm.
eyes, right? Close your eyes and really think to yourself, ask yourself, where do I want to be in the next, at the end of the year? What do I want my money to be like? What are my goals? How would I feel if I hit those goals? Now think, how would I feel when I hit those goals? What am I going to do with my family? What new outfits am I going to buy? What vacations am I going to take with the girls? What new house am I going to buy? And then I want you to feel immensely grateful that you already have these things. Feel immensely grateful now that you already have them. Because in gratitude, you create your reality first. And then know that it's done already. So you can open your eyes now. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. Anytime you feel,
Absolutely.
anytime you feel like you're going off track, you feel like your money isn't doing what it should do, I want you to, I want you to do something different. Close your eyes or look into the distance or just zone out for a bit and do exactly this thing. Now, gratitude reminds you of the fact that yes, you have a brilliant mind and you're going to get it done. And because of that, you're gonna see opportunities, things like this. You're gonna have prompts to speak to Kevin, prompts to speak to Jamir, right, about your money, about knowing like the fact that you need a coach to make it work. So you're gonna get ideas on what to do to make sure that your money is in a good place, because trust me, nothing is by accident. You are mindful money moment. You are in the moment, right? Your money has your attention now, not because it's money, but because it's something that you have power over, and it's
Mhm.
definitely gonna work for you. So thank you so much, and I know 2021 is gonna be beautiful for every single one of us here. Thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you, Jamie.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lydia. We appreciate it. And that is an amazing note for us to close on tonight. Thank you, ladies. I'm just going to put you backstage for a moment. Hold on for me, okay? All right. Thank you so much to everyone who joined us, whether you were here live or you're able to watch the replay. Thank you so much for taking the time to see this entire video and to share in the moments that we were able to take to be mindful about our money, recognizing that we need to take a mindset reset, in order to manage our money properly and to recognize the benefits of what we already have, that we are truly enough to get us to where we want to go. So thank you so much. And I will look forward to seeing you on the next Mindful Money Moment. Have a great evening. Take care.